Hello, and welcome back to the reading room. It's Mark Reed, and it's Friday. You know what that means. Well, it might not. Your time may vary. In Australia, it's Friday, and Friday means fundamentalist fails. So welcome. Strap yourselves in. First, I've got a couple of things to go through before we get started, and this one's interesting because it is a pastor just really hammering on about just how bad the Christians have it. And not only is it kind of funny, it's kind of a little bit triggering. So I think I should say that up front. I don't think it's that bad. It's just, it really gives some insight into where the Christians think their place in society is versus where their actual place in society is. I think they imagine themselves to be in a position of power over everything. And I don't think that's the way our society operates. But it gives a lot of insight into it. And I sort of found this one and had to do it for a fundamentalist fails because it's very interesting to get some insight in the way that these fundamentalists think about where their position is in society. As I said, just a couple of things to go through before I get started. First off, I do want to say that I'm doing something different in on my Monday. So Sunday night, I'll be over at Skeptic Spin for a debate, but I'll actually be streaming it to my channel as well. So if you ever wanted to see Mark Reed in a live streaming a debate, I'm going to give it a try. It may go well, it may go poorly. I don't know. I may not be able to sort of pay attention to the chat as much as I ordinarily would, but we're going to give it the old college try. So I will be announcing that on my community page. That'll be hosted by Justin Yahooligan, and it'll be against Octavius. He's a theist. I've never heard of him, but hopefully it'll be a good debate. Hopefully it'll be interesting. But I'll be live streaming that. So you'll get the live on the debate. But I will try and pay attention to the chat. I'm a little bit nervous because usually I ignore chat completely when I debate. I'm laser focused on the arguments and the things that are coming out from my opponent, usually making notes at the same time. So I will try to keep an eye on the chat. I do apologize. Look, we'll just give it a run and see what happens. We'll just throw it out there. The other thing I want to share is a very good friend of the community and a very good guy. Joe is having some issues at the moment. He has a GoFundMe, and I would just quickly like to share that if I could. I will provide the link. But Joe is the Kentucky atheist, and he's just struggling because medical reasons has stopped, sort of caused him to not be able to work at his job anymore. So really, if you do have something to spare, that's great. Don't feel like you have to. Don't rescue and sort of put yourself in a bad situation. But if you can help out Joe, it would be a really good thing. Because he has been a real sort of cornerstone of the community that we're in. But that being said, and I will, if I ever get organized, I will get that link into the chat. Where's Pragmatic Crystal when you need her? Where's Pragmatic when you need her? Okay, so that's a link for everybody. I do have to throw that up on my Discord as well. God, I'm terrible with Discord. I really got to be in Discord more. And I will get a link for the Discord as well, which I should be doing. That's the second thing. And if you are interested, I can provide a link to my gaming channel as well, which I'm having a lot of fun with. Nobody watches. No, I'm joking. No, we do have people that come along. We have Jess over there, and we have Tops is over there, and Top Tester is over there, and just a whole bunch of people are over there. So but it's a very small channel. I hope to sort of just grow it up to something. Well, not small. Just I don't want to be huge. Just sort of just hang out with people and play the occasional game and chat with people kind of thing, just more casual stuff. Give me 1 second. What was I doing? Oh, yes, the link for Discord. Yeah. And I will do a minute. All right. Get that in chat. Yeah, Tops is there. Jess is there. Star Song is there. Yeah, all kinds of people are there. It's great. It's fantastic. Okay, I'm going to shut that down. Yeah, so if you can help Joe, please do. Definitely would be much appreciated. And I think sort of during these times. But look, if you can't, totally understand. You know, times are tough. That's sort of the point. Times are tough, and I think that, you know, we got to look after each other when times are tough. So. Yeah, I just thought I'd share that. But yeah, good question. Good question. How is the wealthiest face in the world marginalized again? Good question. You'll find out how they think they're marginalized from this man. It's kind of it would be funny if it wasn't so sad. Like, or not sad, just how do I explain? Oh, let's go through the video. Let's go through the video. Absolutely go through the video. I'll share the screen and let's get into it. I'm not sure how long this will be, but hey, it's Friday. Let's just do the Friday thing. Can I? Yep. All right. Beautiful. All right. Was there anything else I had to go through? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's mostly sort of the debate coming up. I've never live streamed a debate. You know, had it live while I've been debating. I'm a bit not anxious, let's say trepidatious about it. So I've got a bit of reserve. I feel like I hope I don't neglect my audience. At the same time, the debate's got to take priority. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But this was called The Sad Reality of Modern Christians. Was the sort of name of this thing. And now this pastor, and I don't think I got his name. He's sort of one of these firebrand pastor, like preachers kind of thing. I find them very disingenuous, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure someone out there thinks they're amazing, but I just find them very disingenuous. It's Vodi Bocham. You know, it's called The Sad Reality of Modern Christians in 2024, a sermon mocking Christians is the new trend. For a start, mocking Christians has been a trend for quite some time. Like, it's not new. Monty Python was doing it decades ago. It's not a new thing. But, you know, I don't get, like, you know, mocking gingerhead people has always been a thing. It doesn't mean they're really marginalized. I don't know why that they're marginalized, but presumably we'll find out.
You know what they call a fire-breathing, gospel-preaching, six-day creationist who studied at Oxford?
A pain in the ass. A pain in the ass is what they... Anyway. Hey, yo, Nitty! Hey, Nitty. Good to see you, mate.
An idiot. They come to you.
Accurate. Kind of accurate. Yeah, kind of accurate. I mean, I'm not sure. Idiot's a strong word, but ignorant, maybe. You know, if you think the Earth was created in 6 days, you know, it's like being a flat earther. Like, you do not understand the science that has gone into dating the Earth. Like, okay, do we look down on you? Well, you're entitled to your beliefs, but yeah, you aren't holding all of the facts about our Earth here.
And they say, you must bear false witness. Look at that man and call him a woman.
Yeah. So we get to, right away, we get to the real crux of the matter, the trans issue. And I'll go deeper into this, but no one's asking you to bear false witness. It's such a stupid argument. Pronouns aren't set in stone. They're not this thing that, hey, you can use they if you want. No one's asking you to bear false witness. You can use they, them. Most trans people don't mind if you use they, them. I've had they, them used on me, and I didn't really notice at the time. I don't get the problem. You've got options. But really, we're asking you not to do harm to people. That's all. Don't do harm to them. And sort of misgendering people and using dead names and things like that is harming people. And that's all that we're asking, is you don't harm people. Just say they or them. It's fine. If you slip up occasionally, they get it. It's okay. It's like someone saying, could you please use my name? It's not a big ask. It's not a big ask. It really is not. Sorry, it's not.
Neutrality is not an option. We're marginalized in our day.
The oppression of Christians. Yeah. They think they're being oppressed. This kind of blew me away when I saw it. Like, of all the people in society that are being oppressed, Christians are not one of them. They hold significant positions of power. They hold, tons and tons of real estate. They have churches. They have television stations. They have, they have lobbyists. They have, groups and, I went to university and they had groups in university, like they have all of this. They have channels being able to preach 24 hours a day. They have all of this stuff. And they're sort of like, well, they're being oppressed? How exactly? How are they being oppressed is really my question. What is the oppression? Because I don't see it. I am mystified as to what the oppression is. Like, I've seen the videos of street preachers yelling on the corners. They're not being no one's coming up and saying, you can't do this. Like, if you're in a library or something and you're disrupting others, maybe, but nobody's oppressing Christians.
As well, aren't we? We're those people. You can be as educated as you want. It doesn't matter. You will still be marginalized if they recognize you as having been with Jesus. If they recognize you as a Christ follower, you are marginalized.
How are you marginalized? How are you marginalized? I don't think this man understands what marginalization is. Marginalization is basically removing any voice or any kind of power over your own autonomy, and being put as insignificant in society. I don't know how the Christian lobby, the Christian preachers, the Christian churches, the Christian television stations is sort of becoming a periphery. Now, if you're specifically talking about young Earth creationists, that might be a bit true, but you guys aren't being marginalized. You're marginalizing yourselves. You are spouting ideas which society just does not accept. We don't accept that the earth was created by a god in 6 days and the earth is 6,000 years old. No, that's not accepted in society because we have a mountain of evidence to show that that is not factually true. So it sounds like his idea of marginalization is sort of saying, well, my ideas aren't accepted in society. And no, they're not.
It doesn't matter. During the introduction, when he said, there's a lot of degrees from a lot of places, and he pointed out just one place, and the one place he pointed out was the University of Oxford in England. Yes, I studied there. But you know what they call a fire-breathing, gospel-preaching, 6-day creationist who studied at Oxford? An idiot. You're marginalized.
Well, I don't think I would call him an idiot. I think he is misguided. I think he's ignorant of the science. And this gives it away. He's speaking at Answers in Genesis. Now, I didn't get this from the AIG YouTube channel, but this is Answers in Genesis logo, the 1:1, because that's the first verse of the first passage of Genesis. Basically, that's the start of the Bible. But I don't think anyone's calling them idiots so much as sort of ignorant of the science. Like we know that the Earth is not 6,000 years old due to the overwhelming evidence that it isn't. There is so much evidence that it is not 6,000 years old. So if you go to the scientists and say, oh, it's 6,000 years old because my book told me so, that scientist is going to go, no, you're wrong. That's not a thing. I don't know how, he's sort of angry that his ideas are being ridiculed. But these same people ridicule the flat earthers. And young earth creationism and flat earth have about the same amount of evidence for them. They do. They absolutely do.
Because you might have an education, but it's not the right education unless you're operating from the accepted worldview. One of the ways that they marginalize us.
Yeah, so this is sort of putting in worldviews. And I mean, I don't have a big problem with this, the accepted worldview. You can have any worldview you like. Like you can have any worldview you like. The problem comes, here's the problem with that. Have your worldview. Totally understand. Totally understand. So you can have that worldview, that's fine. But when you start to apply your worldview to science without following the scientific methodologies, then that's the problem. Because we don't accept that. We don't accept somebody coming in and sort of saying, hey, because of my religion, it must be science. No. And the scientific methodologies are what they pay attention to. And the problem is that science has become really exalted, right? Science has become this exalted thing where it's dependable and reliable and all of these things. It's a hallmark of having knowledge about things. It's become this, oh, well, that's scientific. It's already sort of, you have this implication that it is, factual and objective. That's a consequence of science being dependable and reliable. It's not a sort of, oh, well, we're just going to make, science the biggest thing in society for no reason. It's because it has been so effective in solving problems. It's been so effective in, providing answers to the questions that we have. A question that I like to ask theists is, what objective fact about the natural world has the church discovered in the last 2,000 years? The answer is nothing. Absolutely nothing. like go through science. It's discovered computers, electronics, electricity, fluid dynamics, physics. Like you could go on forever of the things that it has discovered about natural laws. Religion hasn't actually discovered anything. Now, that's not to say there's not religious people doing science. Absolutely there is. But science is methodological naturalism. There's a methodology to it. We only take in what we observe in the natural world. That's it. That's the methodology. And there's a reason for that. So it's fine to have your worldview. The problem is that you're trying to levy that thing onto science. And you can't do that. Science, if you study the philosophy of science, it is methodological naturalism. That is what it is. And that's why it's so effective. Because what it does is looks around us in the world and says, what do we observe in the natural world? And then tries to find the reason for it using a process that is the scientific methodologies. Inventors founded almost things that listed. You think so? You think computers were discovered by inventors? Really? You're not familiar with Alan Turing at all?
Is they continually march out people who name the name of Christ, but believe little and practice less. They love to march these people out.
Well, I think he's talking about the moderate Christians instead of the fundamentalists. And there's a reason for that. It's because nobody wants to sort of, in our society, you can believe whatever you want. It's not, that's fine. Right up until the point where you're harming people. Then that's a problem, right? That becomes a problem. You can believe anything you want, but if Jim Jones is over in some country convincing people that they need to drink the Kool-Aid to ascend to heaven, that's a problem. It's fine to believe what you want to believe until you start harming others. So when we say march them out, it's just those are the people that aren't doing any harm. That's it. It's just he seems to want fundamentalist Christianity to be mainstream. And to be mainstream, it's got to be acceptable within society. And harming people is never acceptable in society. It's just not. And you may say, oh, but I'm trying to do the best for them. It doesn't matter what you think. You're harming people. And we can study that and see the effects these systems have on people. And you're actively harming them.
If you are part of an organization that names the name of Christ, I'm thinking about, for example, Jim Wallace and Sojourners, the Reverend Jim Wallace and Sojourners. They have no problem with you. And they love to bring people like that out into the public eye so that they can say, look, here are some Christians.
No, I don't think we love to bring them out into the public eye. I think that they just are examples of good people doing good things. We don't sort of say, hey, this person's unacceptable because for some sort of religious bias or whatever. It's just they're accepted because they're not doing harm. That's basically where it's at. If you're doing harm, then yeah, people are going to look down on you. If I was advocating, harming Christians, I would be shunned as well, because we don't accept that. We don't accept that people go around harming each other. So, you can sort of say, hey, these people are acceptable all you want. Well, then you've got to change your attitudes to be in line with the society that you're living in. because we don't allow you to go around harming others. And if we stop you from harming others, that doesn't mean you're being oppressed. No, we're just protecting other people. But unfortunately, there are Christians, and especially fundamentalist Christians, who will have this persecution complex, who will have this complex that says, well, we've been harming for ages, now you're trying to take that away. Yeah, damn right we are. Yes, absolutely. We will take away your ability to harm others. Yes, correct. If you're harming other people, you're not going to have it anymore. A question that I've often sort of asked and sort of tried to understand is, how do you tell the Christians who have this hierarchy, or it's more the fundamentalist Christians who have a hierarchy of God, themselves, and then everybody else, that they're not in power and they don't have this power anymore? There was a time in our history where the church, along with the aristocracy, they called the shots. They did anything they wanted, basically. They did the Inquisitions, they called crusades, they could do anything they want. And even into the earlier part of this century, they have an incredible monopoly over the cultural voice. That's not the same anymore. That isn't going to happen. I don't look. Yeah, okay, you're getting a timeout. Stop throwing that crap around, seriously. Dinner burrito. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like your behavior's a bit of a pig's breakfast down there. Terrible. So at one point, Christians were like, you could not run for office if you were a Christian. You could not unless you were Christian, you could not get a job in the certain places unless you're a Christian. That's not the case anymore. Our society is moving beyond the monotheistic control that it used to have. And you guys don't get to do this stuff anymore. You don't get to decide what's moral and immoral. You don't get to decide what people can do with their bodies. You don't get to decide, what people do on a weekend. You don't get to decide how people dress or what people wear. You don't get to do that anymore. It's over. Accept it. And this seems to be the last frustrated kickings of a religion that was once in control and is desperately trying to hold on to control. No one's oppressing you if we're stopping you from oppressing somebody else. We're just leveling the playing field. And no one's going to come and say, hey, you're not allowed to be Christians anymore at all. No one's saying that. You can believe all you want. You can believe anything you want. It's when you take actions that harm others. That's the problem. And currently that's what they're doing.
Who are not wide-eyed idiots. Here are some Christians whose worldview is aligned with ours. Here are some Christians who are Marxists. Here are some Christians who support abortion, who support same-sex marriage, who support here they are right here.
Yeah, and I think it's indicative of sort of moral diversity, meaning there is no objective morals, because even among Christians they believe all kinds of different stuff. And all claim to have the same, or most of them claim to have the same objective morality. Well, how do we tell which one is the objective truth that God laid down? And you might say, oh, it's my one. It's my list of morals that's objective. Yeah, but that guy over there says his one is, and his is totally different. So a lot of Christians have a hard time wrapping their heads around this. Like, how, as an outsider, as a Buddhist or atheist or Muslim, do we tell the difference between two different denominations, both with conflicting ideas and both claiming to have the objective moral guide based on the same book? Is there a process we can do? What's the process? How do we figure that out? There's no way to tell. It's just an argument with no evidence on either side. So, seems the best thing we can do is allow people to believe whatever they believe, but if you're harming people, we don't allow that to happen. If you are harming minorities, if you're harming, other sexes, like if you're denigrating women, we don't allow that to happen. If you're harming different ethnic types, like you're harming black people, we don't allow that to happen. There was a time when it did. There was a time when it was enshrined in God's laws that slavery was a thing. And a lot of abolitionists were Christian, and they argued against slavery. I don't discount them, right? I don't think they're wrong. I think the abolitionists were right, but there were Christians on the other side saying, no, being able to own slaves is God-given morality and totally objective. How do we tell the difference between the two of them? How do we tell what's actually God's objective morality or God's objective laws? We can't. So what we do is say, hey, those people with the slaves, they're not allowed to harm people anymore. They're harming people. And the abolitionists coming forth and sort of speaking, this guy would be like, what was his name? Body would be coming forward and going, hey, they're trotting out these Christians that don't believe in slavery, the acceptable Christians. No, but they have a right to a voice as well.
These other people out there are the narrow-minded bigots.
Yes. I'm sorry, you expected something different? Yeah. So if you're doing harm to others based upon certain protected classes, certain things that are different from you, that you think are bad, like race, color, cultural background, religion, is a protected class. Religion is. You have a right to your religion. What you don't have a right is to harm other people, especially of those protected classes. Right? So if you're taking actions that disadvantage these classes, so sex, women, for instance, or people of different sexuality or gender identity, if you're taking actions to harm them or disadvantage them in our society, or you're vilifying them in some way, then yeah, you're a fucking bigot. I'm sorry, I don't swear a lot, but this is really easy stuff. If I am vilifying, say, black people as they're all thieves or they're all, bad people, yeah, that's racism, and I will call it racism. If you're vilifying, say, the trans community as all sexual perverts and deviants, that's bigotry, and I will call that out as well. Absolutely, it's bigotry. You judge the individual by what they do, not just apply blanket over the entire group what you think they are like based upon the actions of some of their members. Because guess what? Some Christians have done some pretty awful things, some pretty horrible things. So should we judge all Christians by some? No. Christians are varied. They do different things. But as soon as you start to vilify people based upon their characteristics, no, you're not allowed to do that. That is bigotry. And you're basically saying, hey, I'm being bigoted, but you're calling me a bigot and it hurts my feelings. Then don't be a bigot.
And so we're marginalized.
Anybody that is harming other people is marginalized. Anybody doing that is marginalized. Racists are marginalized. You're like a racist going, oh, but people look down on me. Well, yeah, stop being a bigot. But that's not us marginalizing you. It's you marginalizing yourself. Society does not accept the things that you are doing, the harms and the ills that you are leveraging upon society, saying that it's coming from an omnipotent, eternal God that somehow gave you this power to vilify and denigrate and oppress other people. No, you don't have that right. You have a voice and you can articulate that. You can. You can. But other people can articulate their side as well. The other side, those people that you're denigrating, they have a voice as well.
Particularly in our day, we're marginalized if we don't toe the line on some very specific issues. One of those I've already alluded to is creation and evolution. If you believe that there's a God who created the world, you're marginalized.
Well, no, not really. But I think he's sort of he is conflating the marginalization. So if you are in the sciences and you say the Earth is 6,000 years old, yeah, no one takes you seriously because you're not being a scientist. You're not applying the scientific methodologies to your belief there. Look, you can believe that all you want, but he's basically trying to say, hey, you're not going to be accepted within science. Yeah, no, you won't, because there is no paper that's been produced that will show that the Earth is 6,000 years old. It is a matter of faith. And it conflicts with a ton of evidence, like a ton of evidence. And if you want to have faith in that, fine. Will you be marginalized within society? No. No, you won't. You can still have your church. You can believe that the Earth is 6,000 years old. You can go to all the conventions you want. So Voddy's mistaken here that sort of he's upset because mainstream people don't want to associate with fundamentalists. But it's not because they think the Earth is 6,000 years old. It's because they're assholes. It's because they actively work to harm my friends, my family, the people I know, people I care about, and other members of our society. That's why. It's nothing to do. Look, it's like saying, hey, if you think the Earth is flat, you're marginalized. No. If you're in sciences, absolutely. People might think that you do not have a good grasp of physics and sort of, you know, the shape of the Earth, but you're not marginalized. You still can do all of the things you can do. You can have flat Earth conventions. How is that marginalized? Usually people don't interact with flat earthers because they can be real nasty pieces of work. And, you know, the people that have debated flat earthers will know this. Yeah. I don't see the marginalization with all of the evangelical churches and meetings and candidates in political office. How are you marginalized? How exactly? I don't get it.
Again, that's one of the reasons that I love to come here. But by the way, that's also the reason that a lot of people won't come here. There are a lot of folks, a lot of ministers, a lot of gospel ministers who do not want their picture taken in front of this logo.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the Answers in Genesis logo, the 1-1. They honestly think that the world is 6,000 to 10,000 years old. And that is demonstrably untrue. And the problem comes that you're sort of saying, Okay, this has been mentioned a few times. I've mentioned this a few times that instead of starting from the reality around you that you engage with your senses and find out what the actual reality is, instead, Answers in Genesis and Creation Ministry International, they basically say, um, whatever the Bible says is correct. And if reality disagrees with that, then it's reality that's wrong because the Bible is correct and infallible. I don't even know what to do with that. I'm glad you like a book, but what we're doing is looking around at the world around us, at the universe around us, and analyzing it to find out what the actuality and why, have methodologies to find out the truth of it. You're looking at a book and saying, no matter what I see around me, the book's right. I don't know what you could do with that. It's the same argument as flat earthers. Well, I see a flat plane in front of me. It's flat, no matter what evidence we have. I don't know where you go with that. So yeah, a lot of people don't want to be shown in front of that logo because they don't believe that the Earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years old, because everything we know about the Earth says that it's way older than that. Like, you're not even in the same ballpark. Some of them sort of say, hey, it was created with apparent age kind of thing. Okay. But then you've got problems of, why is God creating things with apparent age? Why make it look old at all? Like, why try to fool us? Because everything we see points to an old Earth. So yeah, it's not because they're somehow they just don't accept your ideas, because we've come a long way since the days of Galileo, where you had to trust the book over anything you see. And how dare you think that the Earth goes around the sun? How dare you? It's been a long time since then.
Because we believe that the intelligentsia, right, will not accept us, will not receive us if they perceive that we are those uneducated common men.
I don't think uneducated is the right word to use. I'm sure that Body here is very well educated. I get that. The problem is that you can't be knowledgeable in everything. People specialize. So I don't know. I don't know what Body Bucham's sort of education is, right? But rarely you get somebody like a Leonardo da Vinci these days. Somebody that um, has specializations and really fantastic in all kinds of fields. We call that, even today, we refer to that as a Renaissance man, because people during the Renaissance, they had a very wide array of very well developed skills. Like Leonardo da Vinci was an inventor and a painter and a sculptor and all these different things, right? We call it a Renaissance man. But nowadays we kind of specialize in things. So, a while back, I think the last Fundamentalist fails, someone was interviewing Richard Dawkins, who's an evolutionary biologist, and they started asking him about the origin of the universe. That's not what he specializes in. That's not his field, right? So when it's like me going, I know about networked computers, distributed systems, integrated circuits and things like that. And going to the mechanic and sort of saying, hey, I know about engines just as much as you. No, I don't. No. Oh, hello, Robin. I want to give a big shout out to Robin. Hi, Robin. So good to see you. Robin's in the house. So we've got to specialize, but you're coming in and yeah, your BA is theology. Okay, great. You have studied religions. That's your area of speciality. But you're sort of coming in and saying, hey, there's all these scientists that have been doing all this work, specializing, working decades upon decades, studying in their fields. And you want to tell them that because your book says a thing, that they're wrong, contrary to all of the evidence and studying that they've been doing. I'm really sorry, you don't get to do that. They're going to reject you because it's not so much about like intelligentsia. I think that's a really bad word. It kind of, I think he's got a problem with academia. I would count him as part of the intelligentsia. You know, he obviously has a background in theology. That is an educated man. But the question is, what are you educated in and how are you applying that education? Because in that interview I was talking about, Richard Dawkins was loath to talk about the origin of the universe. He was saying, well, physicists would tell us, and I think he was talking to Piers Morgan on English TV. Piers Morgan said, oh, no, I want to know what you think. And it's like, that's outside his field, because really scientists will be loath to talk outside their fields. They will say, hey, this is what the people in the field say, because they know, those people in the field know way more than they do. But you're coming in having no background in the field of cosmogony, which is the origin of the universe, or cosmology, which is the current state of the universe, and saying, hey, because of my theology and my beliefs, I want you to accept this thing. It'd be like me going to a mechanic in my example and saying, hey, because I read this thing online, I know that my engine can run on peanut butter. And then when he says, look, you don't know anything about engines, get the hell out of here, you're saying, oh, well, I'm being marginalized. I'm being marginalized now because the expert in the field wouldn't accept my idea based upon my favorite book. That's not marginalization. That is an expert in the field rejecting your proposal because it has absolutely no evidence to back it up besides your say-so, your faith. And that's not like when we talk about science, that isn't a thing. That's not something that we do. Science is empirical. It only deals with the things that we can observe around us, and that's all. If it can't be observed by sort of everybody, then it's not a thing in science. It just isn't. And by observed, I don't necessarily mean seen. We can observe stuff using instruments. Like observed doesn't necessarily mean you have to see it happen. No, we can take measurements and things.
Who believe that God created the world and that he created the world the way the book of Genesis says he created the world. That's a problem. Beyond that,
it's not a problem. It's just you have a book that says that the world was created in 7 days or 6 days and then he rested. And that part of it was that he created like light before the sun. And plants before the sun. Okay, but what the hell? That doesn't work. And we know that's not how the Earth formed. We know that. It's accretion disks from sort of particles and things.
There are some other issues that get us marginalized. If you don't, for example, agree with Obergefell, his 2015 decision that says that marriage is not only between a man and a woman, but can be between two men or can be between two women. If you have a problem with that, you are an uneducated common man.
No, you're just being a bigot. Because here's the thing. I should have a show called Here's the Thing. You have an opinion on marriage. Okay, great. You have an opinion on marriage. They have an opinion on marriage. They want to get married. They want to get married. It's unfortunate that marriage is enshrined in a ton of laws of your rights, your duties, and obligations under that banner of marriage. And I don't have the right to say, I have access to this thing, this acknowledgement. Society acknowledges when two people are in a relationship. That's it. They acknowledge that and enshrine it in marriage. Marriage sort of has been around ages. And it sort of came in before religion got started. In fact, it used to be the under feudalism, the lord or the king that would conduct the marriage, not necessarily the priest. It used to be that captains could marry people, captains on a ship. It was always a way to tie families together. Tribes would marry each other and the chieftains would perform it. It's not really about this religious thing to most people. It's about a bond between two people and starting a family, starting a structured unit that you're a part of. So I don't know why, if I say, hey, I don't see why anybody can't love each other and be married, and you say, no, I don't want those people to be married. Why should we take your word over everybody else's? And I think this gives us some insight, because there is these fundamentalist Christians that think that they speak with some sort of authority. You don't. Your religion gives you no authority, none whatsoever. This is what I'm talking about. There was a time when being in that religion or being a pastor of that religion would give you authority. It doesn't. It doesn't. You might have influence, through sort of talking with the government and, lobbying, making your opinion known. Great, go for it. You're allowed to have your opinion. What you're not allowed to do is basically override everybody else's because you have an imaginary friend that you think makes you special. Sorry, no. You don't get to do that anymore. It's over. You don't have any authority to leverage your beliefs onto other people, especially when it causes them harm. Those are your beliefs, not ours, not theirs, not these people over there. And here's the bad part, and why religion is failing so badly and sort of getting smaller and shrinking and people are leaving. It's because all of us have somebody that we love that's part of these communities that you're denigrating. You're sort of saying, oh, I don't see why they should get married. But then I think about, the friend that I've got that's gay and their lovely husband, and that they can't make a life together. And that sucks. That's wrong. They should be able to make a life as much as me. And people don't want to people don't want to beat down their friends, their family, the people that have done nothing to them. So all of this is just hate. You hate them. Just be honest. But you're allowed to hate them. There's nothing saying in this society you can't hate people. You can't harm them. That's it.
If you have a problem with the idea that a biological male can just stand up and declare that he's a female, and that you should then have to refer to them as a female, then you...
Well, you don't. You can use they, them. It's a neutral pronoun. They, them has been used for ages when you don't know the gender of the person you're talking about. And even if you do, sometimes it's used. It's very common to say they, them, but you won't do it because you're not looking to for a solution. You're looking to denigrate and put hatred upon people in our society. They're not looking for a solution. They can't go, well, I'll use they, them. They say, oh, it's plural. Really? No, it isn't. Never been plural. If I say somebody of the educational faculty marked my test and they did a terrible job, is that plural? No. You're talking about one person. It's not plural. It's just you don't know the gender of them. So I think uneducated is not the right word, but ignorant definitely is. And I think those are two different things. Everybody's ignorant of some stuff. Like I was saying earlier, I'm completely ignorant of engines, cars. I have no idea. I'm good with computers. I'm bad with cars. I'm ignorant in some areas. But you're ignorant in gender studies, Body.
You are an uneducated common man.
I don't know why it says a common man. What does a common man mean? Like, everybody's a common man or a common woman. Why is this only applying to men? Like, isn't this showing a bit of sexism that he's like, oh, well, the only spokesperson we have is men. There's no women. Why aren't you an uneducated common woman if you're saying the same thing? What's that all about?
If you have a problem with pumping young children full of hormones because they're confused, then you are uneducated common man.
Well, no, it's more if you're okay with, they're not just confused. Like, gender dysphoria is something we're studying. Like, it's not just confusion. It is a serious problem. And it has grievous harm. And we study what we can do to prevent the harm of those children. And that seems to be something that is helping because we study these things. We don't just declare something and then just say, hey, that works. That isn't what's happening here. Like the DSM-5, it wasn't just, a book that we found in Palestine. It represents thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hours and clinical trials and observations of, thousands of medical professionals. You don't just get to say, hey, or that what we're weighing up is whether doing this thing will make it worse or better. And it seems to be better.
And so on and so forth. And so we're marginalized. It doesn't matter how intelligent we are. It doesn't matter how educated we are. We're marginalized.
Yeah, so this is just, you can say whatever you want, but that doesn't excuse you from the consequences of saying whatever you want. If you want to go into an astronomy class and say that the Earth is flat, you can do that. People probably won't take you seriously. Okay, people certainly won't take you seriously, but you can do that. You're not being marginalized if they don't take you seriously anymore. I'm sorry, that's just not the case. It's kind of, if you're being a racist, like you go in and you go, oh, well, slavery was a states' rights thing. I don't know what they say. They say random stuff like that, like, oh, it was a states' rights over the Civil War. Well, just this random racist crap. If you do that and no one wants to talk to you, you're not being marginalized. You're just being a dick. So if you go in and you start to say anti-trans and anti-gay and, gay people shouldn't be allowed to get married, we're not marginalizing you. You're just being a dick and no one wants to talk to you anymore. That's not marginalization. Because we don't care that you're Christian. We're not marginalizing Christians. We're just not talking to complete dickheads. I'm sorry, this one's got me really riled up. I don't know why. He's not even that bad, all things considered, but yeah, and you can be you can be a racist and incredibly intelligent. You can be a bigot and the smartest person in the world. It's got nothing to do with it. So stop trying to say, oh, well, you're treating me like I'm uneducated and I'm unintelligent. No, I'm not treating you like you're uneducated and unintelligent. I'm treating you like the bigot that you're being. There's a simple solution. Stop being a bigot. It's the simple solution. Works for everybody. But no, you have to be a bigot.
And so many Christians are under the deluded impression that if we just keep our head down, if we just go to church, if we just practice our faith in our home, if we just do that they'll leave us alone. But they won't.
No, we do. If you guys were just going to your church and praying and talking in your church and keeping to yourselves, we would leave. That's fine. No problem. But they're not. They're going out and crying out for people to be oppressed in society, their rights taken away from them, abortion rights taken away, right to marriage taken away, all of these things taken away because you disagree with them. That's not staying home and being alone. That's not. You get to practice whatever faith you want, but don't lie and say, oh, well, we thought you would leave us alone because we left you alone. But you didn't leave us alone. You go out and try and change laws. Answers in Genesis has been lobbying this shit for ages. So no, you haven't left us alone, left us to just do whatever. They've made a concerted effort to voice their religion, to impart their religion and put it on everybody else. That is not leaving the rest of society alone. I don't know how you could possibly interpret what the evangelical church has been doing is leaving everybody else alone. That is just a downright, that is really dishonest, because that's not what they do. And they say it clearly. We have a great commission. We have a great commission and we have to convert people. You don't leave us alone. That's the problem. If you did, is anybody going after the Buddhists who just leave anybody? They just leave everybody alone. No one attacks them because they just leave everybody alone. Right? Does anybody go after the Islam? Yes. Do they leave everybody alone? No. That's why. Okay, we have our Left-Handed Jedi. You are such a legend. Left-Handed Jedi gifted 5 readerships. Thank you so much, Left-Handed Jedi. You are a scholar and a saint. And we have Ryan Donovan was gifted a readership. Brandon Smith, Ridek P, Tenebra Sint. Good stuff. Sparrow was gifted a membership. Is that it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Left-Handed Jedi. So good and so awesome. You don't like preachers. Look, preachers can do their thing. I don't mind them saying whatever, dinner burrito. I don't care. I don't care. But, my channel isn't a preaching channel, right? You don't get to come to my channel and do whatever you want. I have rules about engagement here. Preaching is, it's basically just telling people things. It's not having a conversation. So if you want to engage with my audience, you have a conversation. You don't just come and say stuff without listening to anybody else. It would be like me going to a Christian channel and just telling everybody God doesn't exist without actually talking to them. That's pretty rude. So no, I don't have a problem with preachers. I have a problem with preaching in my channel, which is a forum for discussion and discourse, not preaching. It's not what it's here for. If you want to preach, go somewhere else. And because it's my channel, I get to say that.
They won't. I don't know if you've been watching lately, but it's not enough for you to just refuse to be hostile.
Since when are the evangelicals refusing to be hostile? Exactly. Like, as you sit here and basically saying all this horrible stuff about taking away marriage from people and, you know, vilifying the trans community, you're being hostile. That's hostile. When has this man not been hostile to people he thinks are degenerates or, you know, in some way sinful? Not be hostile first and see what happens. You know, just don't start shouting about people taking people's rights away. But they won't do it because they're so on board with this, well, we're special people, we have to have our version of society implemented. Tough. It's not how society works, not anymore.
It is now demanded that you bend the knee and confess Caesar is Lord.
What? Caesar is Lord. What? If you mean like bend to the government, no, nobody likes the government. The government's sort of a necessary body for providing for the people of the country, but we don't sort of, the government works for us, not the other way round. You know, ideally within a democracy, and it's got problems, but, you know, it's not this thing of, oh, well, you've got to bow to the government. This guy's all over the place. At first, society's ostracizing him, and then now it's sort of, you've got to bend a knee to Caesar, who Caesar, I think, represents the government or the authorities. This didn't get handed down by the authorities. It wasn't like the government went, hey, we want to do this, and convinced people of the right for people to get married. No, it's the people that told the government. This is all over the place. All right, John, take care, buddy. Take care.
You can't be neutral. Try to be neutral if you want to. We're just going to be neutral. We're just going to go about our life.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see the fundamentalist Christians just go about their life, and the thing is, the Christians that do just go about their life, he's complaining that they're the ones accepted in society. That's what he's complaining about. That the ones who aren't hostile are the ones getting on in society perfectly fine. So what now?
Yep. And then your daughter lines up in the track meet and there's a boy racing her. What do? Do you sit there, take the loss?
Well, you're first assuming that she's automatically going to win. That's what you're assuming. But is it that important to you? So transit within sports is a very, very difficult and contentious issue. I personally think that if you are on hormones for a certain amount of time, and what happens is if you're on, say, estrogen for a certain amount of time, you lose the muscle mass associated with the testosterone. So if you do have HRT or hormone replacement therapy, I wouldn't say that you can immediately go into sports, but I think that after a certain amount of time, when you're on a level with other women, that it's fine to compete. Like, it doesn't. especially when they're children, especially young children. Girls actually beat boys a lot of the time. Like before puberty, girls beat the boys. It's puberty and the testosterone that allows them to beat them. But if you don't have that, if you have hormone replacement therapy, that buildup of muscle that testosterone makes happen doesn't happen. So your problem is solved. That problem you've just brought up is solved because they never have the testosterone to develop all of that muscle mass and become way better than the girls. It is a fundamental lack of understanding about biology and human development that this man has. Fundamentally, a lack of understanding. Yeah, I don't know. Do I hate him? No, I don't. What are you talking about? I dislike intensely what he's saying. He's just spewing hate from a pulpit, which we see far too often. Far too often. You know, it really irks me, but it gives you an insight into where Christians think they are in the framework of our society. They think they're at the top. They're not. They're equal partners in this society, just like the rest of us. But you start spewing hate and bigotry or racism or intolerance, society doesn't accept that. Society doesn't accept you have a license to do that from your invisible friend who has laid this down somewhere in ancient Palestine. No one accepts that. And that's tough. You don't have a right to do that.
Clap when the trophy is given to the biological male?
Is it that important? Like considering children are dying because they're so distraught being in what they feel is not their body. Is that so? Like you're saying, oh, we'll just let them die and clap. I can't clap. Just let them die. I'm more concerned about the children that are dying. That's what concerns me. But yeah, enjoy your trophy, mate.
What do you do? What do you do when you go to work? And then they have this new policy at your work where you put your pronouns on everything. And you say, no, I'm not going to play the game. I'm just not going to put the pronouns on there. And they say, no, it's a policy. Put your pronouns on there. Fine. I'll put my pronouns on there. But my pronouns are the pronouns that God gave me.
God didn't give anyone pronouns. I know you believe that, but like God didn't give pronouns. We made them up. Like, what is this? God gave, English wasn't a thing like, a few thousand years ago. This is just weird now. God gave me my pronouns.
Good for you, because that's just step one. You've put your pronouns, everybody else has put their pronouns, and then this is what happens. They come to you and they say, you must bear false witness.
No, they don't. No, they don't. You can use they, them just fine, and you don't, because you're not interested in solving a problem of your belief versus other people's belief. You're interested in promoting hate. You can use they, them, and everyone's fine. But you don't, because you don't want to find a compromise and a solution. You want to be a bigot. Because your book says it's wrong, you have to be a bigot.
Look at that man and call him a woman. Neutrality is not an option. Go get your PhD. Go be the best student ever, anywhere. Go try to write a grant proposal. Try to be a scientist. a biologist, a chemistry, anybody. Just try today to go and do that and sidestep all the minds, all of them, that say your work must be based on the assumption that there is no God, that the world was not created, and that it's billions and billions and billions of years old. Neutrality is not an option. Try as you might. And it always boggles my mind, right?
Neutrality is not an option, so you're just going to attack people over this. Like he's interested in neutrality. He's not interested in neutrality. He wants to change society into his vision, his religious vision. And we don't do that anymore. We don't have one religion taking, sort of place over another.
You can have one person who says the world is 30 billion years old. Great. You get a prize. And another person who comes and says, no, actually, the world is more than 60 billion years old. No problem. You get a prize too.
Yeah, Catherine, abolition of slavery wasn't in the school curriculum until relatively recently as well, but yet that still was a thing. Just because it's not in the school curriculum doesn't mean it didn't exist.
I come and I say the world is actually several thousand years old.
Yeah, you're wrong. We have a ton of evidence to back that up. You're wrong. You're basing it upon what your book says. Actually, it's not even what the book says. It's an interpretation of the book, basically.
And they say, you're an idiot.
Well, I don't think they necessarily say that. They just say, no, did I say you're an idiot? No, I just said you're wrong. Like, that's the thing. Like, I think he is really projecting how he feels when he's told he's wrong. Like, it's, oh, well, you're calling me an idiot. No, I'm saying you're wrong. Everyone's wrong about things. You're never right 100% of your life. Maybe you think you are, but you're not, because you're wrong about the age of the earth. Sorry. It's unfortunate that you think that saying you're wrong is them saying you're an idiot, which is sort of, not what's happening.
Why? Why?
Because the amount of evidence is overwhelming.
The distance between the 60 billion year guy and the 30 billion year guy is 30 billion years. Mm-hmm. The distance between the 30 billion guy and me is less than 30 billion years.
Yes, but the 30 billion guy is demonstrably wrong as well. That's the thing. We're not saying, hey, just because you were closer to this guy, you're right now. No, he was closer by 30 billion years than you.
How come both of them get to be okay, but I don't? Neutrality is not an option, folks. When our children go to schools that pump this stuff into them.
Okay. Let me look at chat. So chat, this is we support the trans here. Absolutely are trans ally and supporting it. So any kind of bigotry, you're going to be timed out. You will be. I am not even playing. Smoking dumpster. I'm not the one calling my film wife around. You get a timeout. Like, seriously, stop it. Stop. Dorito, you're getting a timeout as well. No, all good, Robin. Stop. Like, I've just gone on about how stop being a bigot. What makes you think I'm going to accept it from you guys as well? What deludes you into thinking that I'm going to accept your heinous bigotry and your heinous hatred in my chat?
Neutrality is not an option. In your family, some of you have experienced this. in your own family. Neutrality is not an option. All the recent stir about, do you go to the gay wedding? Do you not go to the gay wedding? All of this recent stir. Why? Why are Christians wanting their pastors and leaders to help them think through this? I'll tell you why. Because when the family or the extended family comes to you and says, Johnny's marrying another man, they know that you're a Christian. They're just double dog daring you to say that.
No, they're not. They're not. They have loved ones and they're sharing the news of one of the best days of their life. I'm really sorry you're a bigot whose hatred can't let you be happy for people on one of the most important days of their life. But they're not coming to you, so, they're daring you to say something wrong. No, they're not. They'd rather you not say anything horrible at all. But you will. You absolutely will. You will be a dick. And then they don't want to talk to you anymore. And you think that is marginalization. Okay, let me give you a similar example. Okay, just so you can understand. Just say you have a racist, right? And you come and you say, hey, Melinda and Justin are getting married. And Melinda's a black girl, Justin's a white guy. And the racist goes, oh, well, you're just daring me to say something. And I will. That's mixing blood and, whatever racist stuff he rattles off. And you go, whoa, hey, I don't want to talk to you anymore. That's horrible. And then the racist turns around and goes, the bigot turns around and goes, well, now you're oppressing me. You're marginalizing me. No. No one's daring you to say something horrible. We would rather you not say anything horrible at all. But you can't stop. Because an old book from Palestine says a thing. You want to push that onto the rest of us and say things that will harm other people. Because that happy couple on their marriage day, one of the happiest days, or should be one of the happiest days of their life, have to put up with hatred and horrible things being said about them because they dare to love each other and want a life together. Because you've got your favorite book from Iron Age Palestine, which says a thing. No one cares. No one wants you to say horrible stuff. You just do.
There's something wrong with it and you're not going. Neutrality is not an option. It's not. By the way, why is neutrality not an option?
Yeah, that's a good point, Dave. A lot of Christians go to same-sex weddings because they all aren't all out to be like you, buddy. Absolutely. Some Christians are happy for the couple, enjoy the day, wish them the best, have a great time and enjoy the love and the, family and everything like that. Absolutely. But Vodi here is basically like, well, those Christians, they're accepted and we're not. Yeah, Vodi, stop being a dick. But it's not marginalization to not want to associate with a bigot. The effect of atheism. So can I just point out effect is spelt wrong here? Can I just point that out? That's affect. Like, so if you say, so the difference between effect and affect is when you use affect, you're using it to say something affects another thing, right? So you're saying this video had an effect affected my mood, right? It had an effect on my mood. If you are talking about the properties intrinsic to the thing, so the effect of this special effect was, fill in the blanks. That is what he's talking about. Like it's very, very subtle, but they're two different things and they got it wrong. I just wanted to point that out because he's sort of saying he's an educated man, uneducated common man. I mean, I'm being nitpicky, but you got the spelling wrong.
I'm glad you asked.
So you would say the affect on atheism or something having an effect on atheism. You would say the effect of atheism if it is the effect, sort of thing.
Because these worldviews are rooted and grounded in atheism.
No, they're grounded in secularism. Secularism is the idea of it's not a rejection of any god or a disbelief in any god or a lack of belief in any god. It's the idea and the belief that God or any religion, doesn't matter what it is, any religion should not influence society or the structure in which it's being implemented. So secularism says that you can be any religion and be part of politics, or no religion and be part of politics. There shouldn't be religion in science. It should be neutral of religion. It should be the same process whether a Muslim or a Christian or anybody is following it, or a Buddhist is following it, anybody. That's what secularism is. It's not a rejection of religion. It is, in fact, religion neutral.
They're rooted and grounded in the idea that there is no God. And because...
No, that's not true. That's not true. It's rooted in the idea that your God belief should not give you any special importance within society. That's what it's rooted in. Just like we wouldn't give, just say Islamic people were in the majority, right? It might happen, who knows? The same secularism says that they shouldn't be able to hold their religion over you, a Christian. Like they wouldn't be able to charge you the jizya, for instance, the tax on non-Muslims, because that idea is against secularism. It doesn't say they can't be Islamic or, we have to reject Islam from our society. It doesn't say we have to reject Christianity from our society. It just says that no religion holds sway. That's all. Or lack of religion holds sway. That's all.
There is no God. We are accountable to no one, to nothing except ourselves. That's why we use phrases like my truth.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of scientists that use phrases like my truth. I hear more religious people sort of say my truth. Usually when people say my truth, it's just my perspective, my opinion, my stance on this. I don't necessarily like that word used in that way. Like, I think truth is, it's very complex, but truth has a value. I don't think you have like one truth for one person, another truth for another. I don't think that's the way that truth works. Truth might be contextual, like if I say, and I've used this example before, if I say, hey, it's raining, that might be true for me, and it's raining might be false for somebody else. So in that way, you could have my truth, but they also have the truth because it's contextual. We're talking about where I am and where they are, which might be two different countries.
We're accountable to no one. If there is a God,
we're kind of accountable to ourselves in general. We're accountable to society. We're accountable to the society that we're a part of. I don't think we're accountable to no one. This whole idea that atheists have, no obligation for morality and just do whatever they want is absolutely flawed. In fact, atheists commit less crimes per capita than religious people do. But I don't think that's inherent of atheism. I think that is sort of the modernization of morality to apply with things like secular humanism and secular morality systems that have come forth.
All of these worldviews fall. So you can...
All of these worldviews fall. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean.
Not go around proclaiming your worldview that is rooted and grounded in the existence of the one true and living God.
Okay, so can you demonstrate that this one true living God actually exists? Please. If you can demonstrate that this one true living God actually exists, then maybe you have a case. But start with that. Because if it's grounded in this thing and you can't demonstrate this thing to me, then I don't care. Because there's 100 other people behind you saying that it's grounded in their version of this God. And you all disagree. One person says, oh, no, God loves everybody. And others like, well, no, he doesn't. And then, one person says, oh, he wants everybody to be able to get. And the other person says, no marriage between same sex. Like, it's ridiculous. You're just saying I'm right because I'm right. And we get this a lot from Genesis ministries and Genesis stuff. They basically just make a presupposition that God exists and grounds everything and then goes from there. Well, no, that's not how science works. It's not how we come to knowledge. We have to look around us, observe what's happening around us, and then find out what's causing it. And I hate to break it to you, through all the millennia that we've been here, it's never been a God. When we've gotten an answer, it's never a God. You just say it is. And then God retreats. God used to cause lightning and used to cause the wind. Now he doesn't. Now we know it's natural processes. God used to make the sun shine and the moon come up. It's not God anymore. So God just retreats and retreats and retreats into the things we don't know.
The God who was and who is to come, without there being this clash. So neutrality is not an option. I'm sorry.
Neutrality is not an option. I mean, it is. You just refuse to do it because you think your God commands you not to be in charge. But you're not in charge. There was a point in history where priests and the religious folk, they were in charge. Not anymore. No, not anymore. We run a secular society. We give no heed, no preference to any religion, including the ones you oppose. Why should we put your religion over Islam? Why we should put Islam over your religion? Why should we put Buddhists over? You're all claiming to have an earpiece to God. So we just do none of them. It solves a lot of religious fighting.
Sorry. If you thought you could get out of this unscathed, I'm here to tell you tonight, you cannot and you will not. Why? Look at verse 7.
Why are Christians persecuted? Why are these people who are sort of making the most hateful stuff in society persecuted? I'm really eager to find this out. They've got so much money, they don't get taxed. They get all of these benefits, but oh no, they're being persecuted. This is the victim complex that I noticed from these Christians. They have it so good. What other organization could have like the amount of abuse and still be in business? Only a church. Only a church.
Here's the crux of the matter. But in order that it may spread,
get it? That's Latin for cross.
No further among the people, let us warn them to speak no more to anyone in this name. So they called them and charged them not to speak or teach at all in the name of Jesus.
Nobody is saying that. Nobody says that you can't speak or teach in the name of Jesus. No one is saying that. We're just asking you not to harm other people. That's it. It's not a big ask. It's not a big ask.
I want you to note what they didn't say. They didn't say, stop healing people.
Is there a few hospitals around run by the church like that is doing miracles that I'm unaware of? Is there suddenly a medical system run through faith that I'm unaware of? Did I miss that?
Did you catch that? You can go heal all the people you want. Just don't use that name.
Yeah, that's because that was the Jews. They didn't believe Jesus was the Messiah. But nobody's saying that now. I don't know why you would, you can do anything you want in the name of Jesus. It doesn't matter. The problem is that you're coming in and saying, hey, the world is 6,000 years old, and I know because of Jesus. That doesn't pass as science. But you can speak and do anything in the name. No one's stopping you. What we're stopping is the bigotry and vilification of people who are in a vulnerable group, not speaking in the name of Jesus. Go for it. So I don't know what he's talking about.
That name is the problem. Valedictorian. Because you had the highest GPA in your class, you get to make a speech. Wow, that's awesome. Can I quote Buddha? You most assuredly can. People will think you're spiritual. Can I quote Confucius? Please do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if people think. I mean, it depends on the person, really. Buddhist teachings are all right. I don't see anything wrong with them. They're okay. I may not think that you're spiritual though. And Confucius, to be honest with you, if you quote Confucius, I might think you're a little pretentious, to be honest with you, but that's okay. I don't have a big problem with it. It's fine.
They'll think you're super intelligent. Can I quote Jesus? Oh, separation of church and state.
What? I'm trying to figure out what he's talking about. Okay, so what he's talking about, and I'll sort of share this. So a high school valedictorian in Colorado has lost her bid for the US Supreme Court to decide whether school officials violated her free speech rights when they withheld her diploma until she agreed to apologize to the student body for mentioning Jesus in her graduation speech. She was one of 15 students with a 4.0 grade average. Co-valedictorians, this is in 2006. The principal required the students to submit their remarks to him for prior approval. Ms. Corder's written comments were approved, but she delivered a different speech at graduation. After the speech, school officials informed Corder that because of her unauthorized public comments, so she didn't do it. She wasn't denied it because she told about Jesus. She did it's the fact that she put a speech up for approval because the principal has to approve it, and then she lied and did preaching. It's not the fact that she mentioned Jesus. It's the fact that she misrepresented what she was going to say. That's the problem. When you are part of a system, and all of the other valedictorians, they would have had to submit their speeches. Why should this one person get special exemption? Why? Why is she not subject to the rules like everybody else is? And I'll tell you why they think she's not, because Jesus. So she broke the rules. She broke the rules. And you just want to say, well, she was talking about Jesus, she gets a free pass. No, she doesn't. That's the whole point. Nobody should be just because Jesus or Buddha or Confucius. So he is actually misrepresenting what happened here. It is that she ad-libbed the speech that didn't go through the approval process. That's what she got in trouble for, not mentioning Jesus. If she did the same with Confucius, if she had a speech talking about her childhood and her struggle, and then she went on about a whole bunch of Confucius quotes, she'd be in the same trouble. It's because she broke the rules so egregiously and upfront, because she thinks that, well, it's Jesus. I get to do that. No, you don't. You're under the same rules as everybody else. And so if somebody, was a stoner and said, just brought out a whole bunch of nonsense during the speech that wasn't approved, that would be exactly the same. So he is just lying about what happened, or he's just ignorant about what happened. I don't know which, but I don't. Stuff like this, it kind of makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder. And that's why the Supreme Court threw down her challenge. They basically said no. It's not about the religion, it's about you breaking the rules. That's it. And the university, if you break rules, they have a right to withhold your diploma until they see such fit as you are representing the school correctly. They wouldn't let anybody get away with that. Why do you think you have a special privilege because Jesus to get away with this stuff? No, you're treated the same as everybody else. And that is the insight that I'm trying to get across to you. Christians think that the rules don't apply to them because Jesus. That's essentially the thing I want to leave you with. They think that the rules don't apply to them because they are either under the rules of Jesus or have some kind of, responsibility to God to do whatever the hell they're doing. They don't want to adhere to the rules we have laid out for society because they're special. And it has to be said, you're not special. You're entitled to your opinion, just like everybody else. You don't get to do things that other people aren't allowed to do because you think you're special. No.
Anybody, anything. You can quote anybody, just don't use that name.
No, that's not the case. I'm sure she could have thanked Jesus in her speech, as long as she put it in ahead of time and it wasn't just a preaching sermon.
That's what they have a problem with. Newsom, heterosexual, married, Irish Catholic, and a political centrist, except when it came to social issues, had made the decision to act after having been in office only 12 days.
No, he's a centrist. He's a centrist. Newcomb, he's certainly not a progressive or a liberal, but he is a centrist. There's no, this is the thing. They think that a centrist is they're so far right wing that a centrist, they go, oh, well, they're all progressive. No, they're just a centrist. It's just you're so far into the right conservatively that you think anybody in the middle is so far left. They're not really. They're just a centrist, seriously.
He'd heard President George W. Bush say in his State of the Union address on January 20th that he wanted to amend the U.S. Constitution to protect marriage. The 37-year-old mayor was disgusted and outraged.
Hmm?
He had his chief of staff call Kate Kendall, executive director of the San Francisco-based National Center for Lesbian Rights. Tell me, who should be the first same-sex couple to get a marriage license?
Yeah, so the reason why it's disgusted is because the country is based upon equality. I have the same rights as everybody else, including the leaders of the country. I am treated the same as everybody else. That's where the reciprocity of societies comes in. If someone in power commits a crime, they should be responsible. Just like if I commit a crime, I'm responsible. It's why Trump getting charged with contempt of court 10 times is so annoying, because anybody else, they would be in jail, easily be in jail. And that's the whole point. We're trying for a egalitarian society, one which everybody is treated the same. So if people have a right to marriage, it is discriminatory to say, well, two people can get married, but not those two people. That's discriminatory. That's why he was disgusted.
Not only did Newsom issue the licenses, but he actually presided over the first weddings.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. You disagree? Great. What's the problem? You have a different opinion. Why should your opinion be counted more than anybody else's?
Did you catch the fact, though, that the author highlighted that Newsom was heterosexual, married, and Irish Catholic? You see, she has absolutely no problem with religion.
Yeah, we've got absolutely no problem with religion. It's what people are doing in the religion that's the problem. Yeah, we ordered a list of marriages in case they became legal. Absolutely. Yeah. I know gay couples that were waiting, for marriage to be. We had a referendum about it, and they were getting geared up, while we've sort of had the referendum to vote. So a referendum's like a countrywide poll, but the government has to implement the results of that referendum. They're obliged to comply. So everybody voted on the referendum, and it came out that we would allow same-sex marriage, and it went through. But I know gay couples that were sort of waiting on that. They were planning their weddings, on the result of the vote, because they had trust that we would treat them in a way like everybody else. And that trust was deserved. It was absolutely deserved. Yeah. No, I get you, Victoria. I totally get you. It wasn't like they just rushed out to do it. There were people who want this for ages.
None. These people weren't saying, no. Gavin Newsom, he goes to church. Gavin Newsom, no. He has a faith. Gavin Newsom, no, it's bad. You cannot have those people doing things like that.
Yeah, it's almost like you're not being marginalized because of your religion. It's like you're being marginalized because of the things that you're actually doing, like you yourself are actually doing. This really does remind me, if a racist says something racist, and then people go, "Oh, that's horrible." Oh, don't marginalize me. It's not that the church he goes to, or the education he has, or the what shape he thinks the earth is. The problem is what he is doing with the bigotry and hatred. So he's just undermined his entire point. It's all this, the atheist effect, the effect of atheism. It's all based upon a non-God. No, you can have your religion. It's secular. It's not atheist. It's secular. You can have it. And if you treat other people with respect, you get treated with respect like Newsom. This isn't hard to understand.
They're fine with it. Why? Because Gavin Newsom doesn't preach that name.
I'm sorry, I thought you said it was a Catholic. I mean, Catholics don't preach a lot to begin with, but I'm sure he goes to church. And you said he goes to church. Hmm. Give me one sec. I want to fact check this because I find it hard to believe. Yeah, well, there was a Newsom ad. Apparently, it mentioned Jesus. Unconscionable. Governor Newsom cites Jesus on billboards promoting abortion. Okay, so he mentions Jesus a fair bit. Love your neighbor. He quotes scripture and Jesus. Okay, so what the hell? But that's not true. He does say Jesus. He's a Christian. Or maybe he isn't according to you. Don't know. And yeah, that is true. That is true. It's his politician, not a preacher. But I get it. Politicians, if they are Christian, will thank Jesus or say that give thanks to Jesus. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it. You're allowed to be religious. It's when the harm starts coming that I have a problem.
It's the name that's the problem. He doesn't believe in the Jesus of the Bible.
Well, I can believe that a politician may not say Jesus because it may be unpopular with his constituency. I mean, that's pragmatic, not some kind of, I don't know if that's the case. I don't know Newsom's demographic of where he comes from. But, I think he's basically saying that he isn't an evangelical preacher. No, he's a Catholic. Why would he be an evangelical preacher? Like, why? I don't understand that. He's a Catholic politician. It's weird. It's really weird.
So it's fine. Just don't preach in that name.
No, you can preach in that name. Just don't hate people and be a bigot. That's all.
You can do it, by the way, if you abuse the name and misuse the name.
Oh, so if you say the name, but you say it for the wrong thing being the things you don't agree with. Wow, okay, this guy's all over the place. Oh, he doesn't use that name. Oh, but he misuses the name. Are you serious right now?
Gavin Newsom was in the mail again. Now he's the governor of California. Not long ago, after Roe v. Wade was overturned, Gavin Newsom in the state of California put billboards up
here we go.
in a number of states. Put billboards up in Texas and other places, basically saying, your state outlaws abortion, come to California. Mm-hmm. And then he quotes the words of Jesus. Love your neighbor as yourself. In other words, Gavin Newsom was saying that he was making his political decisions based upon his religious convictions.
No, that's not what he was doing. He just wanted to win over people of that religion. It needn't necessarily be based upon his religious convictions. It may have been, but I don't think that's a good reason for making policy, is your religious convictions. And I don't think it was. It was something demanded by his constituents, I would imagine. That's usually why politicians do stuff. It's because either somebody lobbies for it or their constituents absolutely demand it. And California is quite progressive as far as I'm aware, like one of the more progressive states. So it wouldn't surprise me if that's what his constituents wanted. But the thing is, like this guy is all over that. He's like, he doesn't use that name, except when he did. So misusing the name of Jesus isn't, it's only when he uses it for things you don't agree with. So he does use them. So it's almost like, and follow my logic of this one. Follow my logic. It's almost like Newsom, he isn't, Newsom isn't, I've lost my train of thought. I timed you out, Smoking Dumpster. I timed you out. But we don't, if you want to discuss it, more than happy to. My Discord is open. You can message me. I do have an email address. You can send something to me. We don't discuss moderation things in the chat. Where was I? Yeah, it's almost like Newsom isn't being judged for his religion. He's being judged by how he treats people. He's being judged by how he is giving rights to people instead of taking them away. So his entire thing is Christians are being marginalized, then points out all the Christians that aren't being marginalized, and it's only his fundamentalist Christians that people are reacting badly to because their views are so egregiously harmful. It's like the guy makes my point for me. I don't understand how you can be a religious person and like not see this happening. It's so egregious. As long as you don't say the name of Jesus, except when you say the name of Jesus, you're accepted as long as you aren't doing these horrible. Yeah. Is any of this filtering into you, sir? Any of this filtering in? It's not the religion that people have a problem with. It's what you're doing that people have a problem with. Okay.
Now, if somebody who believes the Bible does that, all we hear is dangerous Christian nationalism. But
yeah, it is dangerous. Does he know what Christian nationalism is? Like, nationalism is really dangerous. Look, you can be patriotic. Patriotism isn't a bad thing. Nationalism is incredibly dangerous. And Christian nationalism, especially so. Like, Project 2025 gave us a look at what Christian nationalism actually is. It's Christo-fascism, is what it is. Nationalism is one of the pillars of fascism, along with a very hierarchical structure to society, a very aggressive foreign policies, a very hyperfixation on religion. Is any of this getting through to you? Christian nationalism is a form of theistic fascism. That's why we're worried about it.
If a leftist who does not believe in the Jesus of the Bible or does not preach the Jesus of the Bible does it, it's just fine.
Does what? A leftist do what? Support nationalism? No. If somebody supports nationalism and they don't believe in Jesus and don't use the Bible, I still have a problem with it. It's not fine. No, it's not. Does he realize nationalism's like, like so far on the path to fascism, and fascism is the death of democracy? I don't. Wow. Okay.
Because the problem is that name.
No, we've got a problem with all nationalists, and it's mostly the aggression towards other countries, the whole idea that your country is superior to others and will crush them, essentially. America's got a long history of working with other countries, ever since the sort of revolution days where they worked with the French. It's had a very long history of having alliances and support and good relations with other countries. Nationalists don't. They basically work to the detriment of all the other countries around them. Yeah, maybe you like the idea, but as an Australian, I think it's frigging awful.
As the song says, there's just something about that name. And here's why. Confucius and Buddha and Gandhi and the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi and
well, Gandhi wasn't a religious leader per se. He was more just a social leader. He formed a rebellion through non-violent means. He wasn't really a religion. I mean, I think he was Hindu, but I don't think he was necessarily like a religious leader. He was more a sort of leader of a social movement.
Everyone else. You can just go and grab their teaching and take what you want and leave what you don't want. And you can just do all of these things and you can...
Why can't you do that with Christianity? Why can't you do that with Christianity? What's the problem? If there's something useful in Christianity, why aren't you allowed to just take that?
Bring that before people and hold yourself up as this wonderful spiritual person. And it means absolutely nothing. But when we talk about Jesus, he is the one who says, I am the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. That's a problem.
Yeah, so you are now angry that other systems of thought have good ideas. Is that what we're saying? Because Jesus says you only come through that means no other system can have good ideas. No, we take ideas from anywhere they are. A good idea is a good idea. The problem is that because you've got a favorite book from Palestine, ancient Palestine, you think that every idea in it is good and true. That's the problem. Like the golden rule that Jesus, blessed are the meek and things like, there's nothing wrong with those ideas. Take care of people. Do not judge. They're not bad ideas. It's just not all of them are good. Some of them are terrible. The whole idea that anybody that looks upon someone with lust has committed adultery, and adultery is like this horrible sin that you should be ashamed of, that's a problem. It's got good ideas and bad ideas. Just like Buddhism has good ideas and bad ideas. Confucianism has good ideas and bad ideas. The problem is that they don't go, well, all of our ideas are fantastic, you have to accept it. Largely, what people do is they implement the ideas that work in their lives. That's pretty much it. Everybody kind of just, uses advice from all over the place, self-help books and gurus and ministers and all kinds of different people, just the easiest thing that makes their life better, essentially. So if it works, great. But you're getting angry because other systems have really good ideas. Taoism has some great ideas. Some of them not so much. But it's more a philosophy than a religion. It's really weird what he gets angry about. Because, I don't think he'd be fine with me saying, yeah, but it's got, Bible has some good ideas. Let's just take those and dump the rest of the Bible. No, you've got to have it's the way, the truth, and No, not at all. If you've got a good idea, it's a good idea. If you've got a bad idea, it's a bad idea. I don't care where it comes from.
The fact that he is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords.
Not a fact.
That is a problem. Because of...
Yeah, you need to demonstrate that as a fact. A fact is a generally agreed upon statement that is alluded to truth, right? So if you say the fact the sky is blue, that's generally agreed upon, right? That's a fact. So if you're talking evolution, for instance, allele changeover, alleles change over time through descendants of the parents and mutation. Generally agreed on. That's a fact. Jesus is that's not a fact, because only a certain segment of the population agree on that. It's not a fact. It's your claim. You have to show it. But of course, they jump right to the, to the end point. Oh, we proved this, it's a fact. No, it's not. It's absolutely not.
Is who they say he is. If Confucius is who they say he is, that means absolutely nothing. But if Jesus is who he says he is, it changes everything.
That is Pascal's wager right there. It's one of the worst apologetics that you could ever have in your entire life. Like one of the worst apologetics. Okay, so Pascal's wager, I'll explain why. So basically he's saying that if it's not true that Jesus is the Messiah or some kind of God, then it doesn't matter, right? Like you can believe in him and it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You're still going to die and, you know, be obliterated. You're still just going to die and nothing's going to happen. You don't lose anything. But if he is, then it's such a significant thing you should believe in it. Now, we can apply the same criteria. And the way that Pascal's wager works, it sort of says, well, the reward far outweighs any detriment for believing in Jesus. Does it? And here's the question. If you're changing your life to suit something not true, there can be a huge detriment down the road. Like, for instance, you might believe things that aren't true about other things. Your critical thinking suffers if that isn't true and you're believing in it. You really shouldn't be looking for what gives you the best reward and rather what is true. And it also means to be intellectually consistent. If somebody tells you that they have infinite reward, right? If someone says, "Hey, if you believe in what I say and carry my backpack, you're going to get infinite rewards after you die." Pascal's wager says you should do that, regardless of the evidence, because the reward far outweighs. If that isn't true, then it's meaningless. If it is true, it changes everything. So any claim presented to you to be intellectually consistent, you would have to go along with. And we see a lot of this in Christian circles. We see a lot of them really, unfortunately, suckered by scams. You know, let's say the Nigerian prince one, or just some other scam along the same lines. You know, I've been locked out of my Swiss bank account. If you give me $500 for the thing, I will be able to give you 10,000, you know, kind of thing. And they'll fall for it. Because if it's not true, nothing changes. You know, you lose a pittance. It's not that much money. But if it's true, that's not the way to evaluate a claim. And most religious sort of think tanks, in fact, I think Answers in Genesis, where he's speaking from, they sort of say, don't use Pascal's wager. Like our current understanding of game theory, how it works and how we apply it across the board, it's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible argument, probably one of the worst you can make. Because when you start applying it to other claims, you can't be intellectually consistent. And this has been sort of debunked over and over. Sort of, you know, do you believe in Islam because they promise you virgins in, you know, the afterlife? Do you believe in Mormonism because then you get your own planet to rule over? You know, it's kind of this all or nothing thing with them, and it's a terrible argument. So you shouldn't use it. Oh, Left-Handed Jedi, it surprises me. Up for $10. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Left-Handed Jedi. I really appreciate it, mate. You are absolutely amazing. Hey, can we get some Bigfoot Jesuses for Left-Handed Jedi? Come on now. Come on. Let's get them. Let's get them. I want to see those big feet. I want to see them. I need them. I need the Sasquatch. Give me the Squatch. There you go, Dave. There you go. Thanks, mate. I really appreciate it. You are a hero. Absolutely. Oh, thank you, Robin. Subscribe. Yeah. But yeah, don't use Pascal's wager. Look, if you're a Christian, don't use it. It's got so many flaws in it. It's a terrible argument. Nearly all apologists have stopped using that one. The only time I hear it was when people are preaching. Oh, thanks, Theythem. There you go. I am now satisfied with my Bigfoot Jesus.
We must bow the knee to him, not just pick and choose phrases that he spoke when they suit us. So don't use that name. That's what we're being told.
No, you're not. You're told, don't be a dick. You can use that name all you want. Lots of people do. That's not the problem. And he pointed out that's not the problem because Newcomb uses the name. So he's undermined his own point that Gavin Newsom uses the name and he's fine. So it's not the name. Oh, wow. Okay. Correlation is not causation, sir. Just because you're correlating using the name with Jesus to being people not liking you doesn't mean that's the cause of it. The cause of it is you being a bigot, being hurtful and hateful to people. That's the cause, not the name. It's got nothing to do with the name. You can use the name all you want. Just stop giving the trans community and the gay community and all of these poor people that did nothing to you a hard time because you have a book that you like. Stop it. That's why you're getting the flack that you're getting. Not because you're Christian. You're being hateful and hurtful. Oh, yeah, sure. Smoking dumpster. Yeah, I will get back to you. I promise, mate. That's an ironclad promise. I will get back to you. That's not a problem. I will read it and get back to you. I got to take a little break, but I will get back to you after that. I swear. But yeah, that does it for Vodi Bucham. What are my thoughts on this? I think the reason why I grabbed it, it's really interesting the way that the Christian, and not all Christians believe this, and not all Christians like this. Vodi Buchman has a problem with them. He thinks that they're, selling out Christianity or something, but really, it really shows you where they think the fundamentalist Christians are positioned within society versus how everybody else thinks they're positioned in society. Vodi Buchman thinks he has sort of authority to lay down these rules that are unfair for people, and he doesn't, and they don't. We're going to treat people with equality, regardless of their gender identity, their sex, their religion, their race, any of those things. We're going to treat them the same. Now, you want rights taken away from some people, they want those rights. We be fair, everybody gets them. And it's tough if you don't like it. And if you keep vilifying and spewing hatred, no one will like you. No one will like you. Not even the reasonable Christians who accept that this is a fair and free society where the Christians are not in charge. Because you're not. And never will be. You had your time. You fucked it up. The Crusades, Inquisition, the invasion and subjugation of the Native Americans and the impact of colonialization and Christianity on them. The forced Christianization of the Native Americans of North America. The horrible, horrible propagation of witch trials and anti-contraceptive laws. You had your time. It's not your time anymore. We are not going to oppress or outlaw your beliefs. You're entitled to your beliefs, same as everybody else. You're entitled to your religion, same as everybody else. But you don't get to leverage your religion upon other people anymore. That is over. Now we look for equality. We have better ways of doing things. We treat each other with respect. I respect you. I don't respect your beliefs. That's okay. Doesn't mean I'm going to say you can't have a church and you can't say what you want. You can. I have the right not to like you for it. I have the right to speak out against you for it. You're not being marginalized. You're just being a dick. That's all. Stop being a dick. You won't be marginalized anymore. It's not because of your religion. It's because of your bigotry, intolerance for the people around you. But they never seem to get it. And I think this is the reason why I chose this. They don't get it because they think they've got some special position because of their God, when they don't. They're just another member of our society with all the rights and privileges afforded to them, but no more. Yeah, absolutely, Robin. I gotcha. But that does it for another Fundamentalist Friday fun. I'm putting the fun back into Fundamentalist. We are not going back. I agree with Harris. Let's not go back. We have to develop. We have to move forward. We have to get better systems for treating people. The religious sort of theocracy of aristocracy and religious control from the church didn't work. Absolutely didn't work. We can do better. That's why we have to talk. We can do better. But you've got to at first accept other people's opinions in your society. You don't have to agree with them, but you can't take away their rights based upon a difference of opinion. You just can't. Yeah. But thank you so much, everybody. Don't forget, Sunday night, I think it's Sunday night. Is it Sunday night? Hang on, I'm just going to make 100% sure, like 1,000% sure. 1,000% sure. So I have a debate over at Skeptic Spin, but what I'm doing is I'm going live with it. So I'm going live. So I will get a link for that on Skeptic Spin. I don't think I can make a StreamYard thing ahead of time. Yeah, it's my 23rd, which is the Monday. Yeah, so Sunday night at 6 p.m., which is going to be so early for me. But I'm getting cravings for debate, so I'm getting up incredibly early. I hope you appreciate that. That's like a 5 a.m. start for me. I hope you appreciate it. Appreciate it, damn it. Give me a like. I'm getting up incredibly early because I really want to debate. It's got nothing to do with anything, but I really want to debate. So, but I'll be streaming live. If I ignore the chat, I'm sorry, but we'll see how it goes and see what people think. Should be great. So, yeah. I got it, Justin. Thank you. Oh, I think Mark Stoney left. I'm not sure. But anyway. Don't forget, be kind to yourself, be kind to each other. You don't have to agree with people. That doesn't mean you can push religion or take away their religion. Be kind and stop trying to take away people's rights. Please. Please, body, please. Anyway, take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.